Hi, good morning. Today we have our theme. Yes, our theme is change, and we have Pekka Salokannel speaking.
I'd like to start to put this around the physical change. So you can call it 3D printed 3D graffiti, for example. It's made out of corn, so it's biodegradable as well. So don't be sorry, we can throw it to our mother's garden after this, so it will grow some vegetables after that. But I want to start with a small story, going back in the beginning of the 90s. We all know that parents and teachers are asking us that what do you want to become when you grow up? So we had the same question by our teacher, and of course, naturally, people wrote down some classics like doctor, firefighter, I want to be a policeman, and so on. Maybe if you wanted to be an archaeologist, maybe because of Indiana Jones, I don't know. But I wrote something different. I wrote that I want to be a super player. I was 10 years old back then, so it wasn't really, ladies' man thing. It was more about the toys, about the adventures, about exploring new. And when I'm thinking back the time, I think I might have been actually the closest to predict my own future. I don't think any of my classmates became actually policeman or doctor and so on. And today, I'm industrial designer and 3D printing specialist, so I think that's fairly close to being a super player. So, more into subject. So, as I think about the evolution of digitalization, it's went a kind of certain path till today, and it's still, of course, growing up and evolving, changing all the time. And of course, we started something very simple and small, like text. When the computers were invented back in 50s, 60s, we started to put text in digital form. After that came images, music, video, and I see that now it's the time for products. So all the physical products that we can see around us, that we can touch, can be transformed into digital form. And 3D printing is the way to bring them live. It's a new way how we manufacture products. We still use the same materials around us and so on. It's just a little bit new way to create them. And here is, for example, the necklace or a keychain what I'm wearing is the one what is in the photo there. So you have to have a 3D file, a digital file of some physical product, and you have to have 3D printer that you can print it out. This is made of stainless steel, and it's infused with the bronze, and it's a working wrench. Works as a jewelry, but works as a tool as well. So 3D printing is additive manufacturing method, so you actually add material. And that makes it a little bit more interesting than these traditional methods like drilling and cutting and so on. So you add material, you don't cut it off or drill it off. That makes it more versatile. You can create more imaginable products by that way. Here is a few examples what I've been doing. So in the past about 7 years that I've been really into 3D printing. I started with the small objects like jewelry. Then I went forward to lamps, some other physical usable products, and also, nowadays, I'm doing eyewear and sunglasses, of course, as well. But 3D printing is a different way to think about how we do products in that way as well, that it don't have the boundaries as we have in mass producing stuff and handcraft as well. Because typically we think that we have to make things simple and the complexity costs a lot. If we want to do individual products, it's custom made, it's always been very expensive. 3D printing doesn't care about that because it's just a computer program And you can code it in that way that every single product can be different. Also, complexity usually is actually cheaper than simple objects. So we have to kind of think in a new way how we create products, because complexity actually becomes sometimes cheaper than the traditional simple forms. And 3D printing is also, it has a promise of being local and being ecological because of that. We don't necessarily have to ship overseas our products because we can 3D print them here locally. Here is a map example from service called 3D Hubs. And 3D Hubs is a service based on Netherlands, and they collect all the 3D printers in the world under the same service. So there is a bit under 30,000 3D printers on a map, and a bit less than 100 here in Finland. I have my own 3D printer, for example, on that service. So anybody can order locally 3D print. I will 3D print in Alppila on my studio and then just either give it away or send it away to the customer. Of course, there is also these kind of worldwide services as well. They are based on, there is in US, there is in Middle Europe, of course, big ones, but also in Asia, they have their own 3D printing services and so. They usually have more materials, more precise products you can create and so, and more valuable materials as well. Well, if we think about the brands and designers' kind of position in traditional design and production, designer actually is a really small part there if you think about the money, the profit, and also the time that comes to the actual product, the physical goods. So it's very traditional that we get the 1% or less even from the actual selling price. It's typical that designer gets 3 to 5% margin, but that's only the price from when we sell it to distributor. So let's say brand takes maybe about 10%, a bit more, then manufacturer takes the same amount, then you sell it to distributor because you don't want to sell it to every single store yourself, and then the retailer takes half of it. So there is a new way, of course. If we think about, for example, music or blogging, the same things about these traditional, nowadays traditional digital methods to create content. So if we look back in time again about this evolution, the text is nowadays, it can be created by individual, the music can be created by individual, and video and so on. So the same thing, the same shifting is happening for physical goods as well. That means that brands can shrink also. You don't have to be the 1% always in the chain, but you can own the whole process if you want. So you can have own 3D printer at studio or home and create products and sell them online straight away if you want. Of course, that's really hard. You have to remember that when things are easy, they become very difficult to be successful. If you think about making a video to YouTube and you wanted to make it viral, how difficult is that nowadays? It's very, very difficult. That's the same thing with the music. How to become a hit. It's very difficult. But you have the possibility and you can test it out and try it out, whether it's going to be a success. And also, freemium way is coming as well into physical world. Because if you think about the freemium concept, it basically means free and premium. Spotify is the best example of this. 75% use free Spotify and only 25 pay actually that 10 euros per month. And the free content means that usually you are the product. You get the ads, they are disturbing you in Google, in Spotify, in YouTube as well, and so on. Of course, there is a donation-based models as well, like Wikipedia, for example. In products at the moment, this could be the service at thingiverse.com, where you have only free content. And it's been said for a long, long time already that in 3D printing, we are still living kind of the Napster time if we compare it to music. So we don't really have these encrypted files, for example, that we can secure the files that nobody who we don't want to use them can't use them. So there are still STL files. It's a bit like you're sharing JPEGs if you think about photos. There is not the secure way yet. Well, there is few companies trying to make it, but they are not big yet. So it's coming, of course, but still there is a lot of free content. And one way to do this freemium style for me is that I put it to, in the top corner, there is a couple of products which are on sale in pinshape.com. It's a US-based company. And it's kind of also a research field for me as a designer that I sell the same way as the music is sold from iTunes, for example, for 99 cents, or other products there is sold by that way, that you only put €1 the price, and it works pretty much the same way as for example, these other services that you get 70% yourself and the service takes 30% from that. So I get 70 cents only to creating a real product, but it's up to you as a customer that you can take that product to your local library or the school or service where you can 3D print it locally. What that will create for biology is another thing, so let's not go into that far. Then there is the 3D scanning, which will maybe be the big hit, what will open the 3D printing a lot. We still don't know, will it do it so. But if you think about that you have a 3D scanner in your phone, that you can scan whatever you want and create it as a 3D object and later on 3D print it. That might create the huge content bank kind of for 3D printing. So I've been thinking that why don't Facebook have already 3D profile of yourself? That you could go to scan yourself to some booth, shopping mall or so, or scan yourself, your body. And it might sound scary that Facebook have your body measurements already there. But if you think about how much information you share with Facebook already, you share it with your friends, but of course you share it with Facebook as well at the same time. Why not putting 3D profile? Next time when you go buy clothes online shopping, they would have already your measurements there. So you don't have to worry about what is M size and what is medium, small, large, because they are not always the same. What I've been thinking for our eyeglasses is that we could use your 3D profile if you allow us, of course. They are asking that, do you give a permission of your 3D profile to us? And then we could see your head and make perfect fit eyewear for you. So this is a way, kind of, I would see that Facebook could be a universal login to custom fit fashion. Well, then open source is also a big deal in 3D printing as well. As we know, technology goes really fast forward. So that's why open source becomes more and more relevant, because big companies, they have heavy structure. It's like a pyramid. There is a CEO, and then it spreads around a little bit smaller scale. But it's time-consuming way as well, this kind of construction of traditional companies. So open source kind of comes between, it's an organic organization based on volunteers usually, at least in the beginning. And people can create what they are really liking about. So here is a couple examples. Local Motor starts to sell in crowdfunding in a couple of weeks the first 3D printed car in the world. It's electric car. It only has the top limit is about 50 kilometers per hour. It costs $50,000, so quite expensive for that use. But there is always early adopters who wants to be the first ones. So basically the whole body, the black part in the bottom is 3D printed. So that holds the car together. And then you kind of put like Legos, these other components like tires and engines and so on there. Other example is a life-size kind of humanoid robot, which is on thingiverse.com, every single piece. You can download to yourself your own computer and 3D print at home or library and so on. And then they have instructions how to assemble it and put the electronics there and how to make it live. Because of course 3D printing only creates, in this case, only the plastic parts that are the physical mass, basically. And it's very important to think kind of ahead already nowadays because of the speed of the change. You have to kind of think that what is not yet possible but will be possible in a couple of years, for example. And that's the way how I try to always think about it. If it's about eyeglasses, I'm trying to think that, okay, the 3D scanning will come soon, but it's not enough good yet. We can 3D scan already with our own smartphone. There is free apps already for that. But they are not good enough for consumer products yet. It takes maybe half an hour and a lot of hassle. And it's not good for business to say that, hey, put half an hour to this and it might not work out. So it have to start to work really. So we are not there yet. The same thing, my dream is about to design and 3D print a house someday. So here is a small sketch that what it could be. It's really like one sketch only. I'm not sure, do I even like it? But it's a sketch that I want to think in advance. There is one company in Finland actually called Fimatech, which is one of the world's kind of most, not leaders yet because they're still kind of in a stealth phase. They don't show much to public, but they're very upcoming company that could bring something really new into this building manufacturing side. So they're 3D printing concrete. So we'll have to see that will they succeed. They do already 3D printing concrete and houses in China and US, in Italy and so on. So it's existing, but you can't yet upload your house online and just order it. That's not yet possible. But there is a promise that it could be in a couple of years already. So the last thing, it's a bit more about the general concept. I like to think that we should teach for kids, for example, and everybody should understand the concept of exponential curve, because that's how computers works. There is called Moore's law, which means that transistors doubles every 18 months in computers. So they get faster, double faster every 1.5 years. And that's how computers work. Everything which goes digital will have the promise for the exponential curve. So now we have seen it already in text, in blogging, in videos, in music. It's an exponential curve, and there is exponential content amount also existing. When we think about human beings, we are linear. We kind of grow slowly, and we can see ourselves and so, and we think usually linear way also. And the world is more about creating things around us by computers. So we should get the kind of the idea of exponential curve as well, because that's how we are creating our surroundings nowadays already. So one example, concrete example. Exponential growth means that it doubles every time, every step. So if I take one step, 1 meter, it's 1 meter. The next step is 2 meters and 3 meters and so on. But if I take the exponential steps, first one is 1 meter, Second one is 2 meters, then 4 meters, and so on. So if I'm starting to walk from here upstairs, it's about 27 steps, 27 meters, let's say. That's not much. But think a little bit about that, where you could be if you would take exponential steps, if you would move like computer, basically. The answer is, on the 11th step, I would get back there or back there. I would be on the railway station or at the shore. Depends, do you go north or south? At taking the 27th step, you would have went around the globe and come back here in exactly the same place. If you take 3 steps more, you would be in the moon. So that's the way how computers kind of work and think. So exponential curve and exponential growth is something that I think everybody should kind of understand how it works, because that's how we are building our world at the moment. Thank you.